Hello, hello! Correcting and concealing darkness under the eyes can be very challenging, even more so as we are growing older. Now, two heads are better than one, so today's video is a collab with my good friend Kiki, who has the channel The Hooded Lid. We are both on the mature side for sure. Kiki just turned 60 about a month ago, and I am very grateful to be turning 63 in just a couple of weeks. However, we both have very different issues. My under eyes lean a little hollow, Kiki's under eyes a little puffy. Not only that, but we both have different patterns and degrees of darkness, all of which really impact our product selection and our techniques. So we are hoping that between the two of us, you will find some tips and tricks that you will find helpful. I think Kiki's video is actually going up tomorrow. I will link her channel and her video in the description box below. I can't wait to see her tips and tricks. I will also have timestamps, products, discount codes, lots and lots of information in the description box as usual. So if all that sounds good to you, throw this video a thumbs up and let's jump into it. So here are the issues that I personally deal with. I am definitely seeing thinning of the skin around my eyes, resulting in more and more darkness peeking through. Combine that with my very dry skin that is getting crepier by the minute, and concealing and correcting can be very, very challenging. Like I said in the intro, I deal more with hollowness under my eyes than with puffiness. Although I do get puffy on occasion, but mostly I am getting a little bit hollow right in there. And my darkness is mostly in this deep inner corner, a little bit right in that hollow where my skin is thinning out. My eyelids are also getting discolored, and I'm getting a little bit of darkness and redness in these outer corners. So there, I'm pretty sure you can see the darkness pretty clearly. First step, prep is everything for my super dry skin. Skincare and SPF are already on, but I also like to use an eye cream about 20 or 30 minutes before applying my makeup to super hydrate my under eyes and to plump up fine lines. This also just makes the concealer go on much more beautifully. I have a couple of eye creams that I absolutely love. The first one is the Kiehl's Creamy Avocado Eye Treatment. This is a very, very rich emollient eye cream. A little goes a super, super long way. I tend to use this in the deep of winter when my skin is super, super dry. I have repurchased this a couple of times. It is an old favorite. However, I have been loving the Sukiyaki Suhada Urea Eye Cream. It's a little bit more affordable than the Kiehl's. It's also more lightweight, but yet it is super, super hydrating. It soaks in much more quickly than the Kiehl's. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press it into my under eyes and the crow's feet, and that will super hydrate my under eyes, plump up any lines, and prime my under eyes for the Corrector concealer. So I'm going to let this soak in for about 20 minutes and I will be back. All right, it's been about 20 minutes and the eye cream has soaked in very, very nicely. I forgot to mention there are certain days if I'm feeling extra dry or a little bit puffy, I might use an under eye mask, such as the one from Skin Iceland I have talked about before, or the Dermatology that I have talked about. I'm also very interested in trying the reusable eye masks from Deaux that my friend Cindy from Beyond 50 Skin raves about. Anyway, eyes are hydrated. Let's move on to Corrector. One type of product that has been a complete game changer for me since I discovered it 5 years ago is a peach corrector. And that's because peach is on the opposite side of the color wheel from blue and purple. So a peach corrector will cancel and neutralize blue purple with much less product than it would take to use a concealer to cover. So correctors cancel and neutralize, concealers cover. By using a peach corrector only on the dark blue purple areas, I can get by with much less concealer. And like I said earlier, less is more. If I were to try to cover all that dark blue purple with concealer, it would take quite a bit more product, and actually very often the dark blue purple still shows through a little bit grayish. Now there are many peach correctors on the market. Several weeks ago, I did a video, sort of a roundup, ranking, and decluttering of correctors and concealers. I will list that in the cards and in the description box below. I shared several peach correctors in that video, but today I am going to share two with you. And the first one, you're not going to be surprised, is the Pixie Peach Corrector. This has been my go-to peach corrector for the last several years. It does come in two shades. I have it in the lighter shade called Brightening Peach, and it is a thicker, more opaque, somewhat dry formula. And that is why it was really, really important to pre-hydrate my under eyes. But again, I'm going to apply it very sparingly and only to the dark blue purple areas. I'm going to use my Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush to pick up some product. This is a dome-shaped, very soft but very dense eyeshadow brush. And the reason I absolutely love this is it fits perfectly into my very deep inner corner. And I just pat that peach corrector onto that dark purple inner corner. And then I'm going to apply just a small amount right on that blue-purple area right there. I also like to put just a little bit on my lid. Then I'm going to take my finger and let the warmth of my finger press that in. Peach corrector, no peach corrector. On this side, I'm going to use a product that is newer to me. I just picked it up a couple of weeks ago, and it is the Sephora Collection Gel Corrector Concealer. Now, this is more of a hybrid corrector concealer, but it is a peachy tone. It does come with this doe foot applicator. And again, I am only putting it sparingly on the blue-purple areas. I'm going to take a clean Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. I have several of these. It is my favorite brush to apply corrector. And again, I am just going to stipple that in only on the blue-purple area, and then use my finger to finish it up. Pixie Peach Corrector on this side, Sephora Collection Gel Corrector on this side. My next step is complexion, either a tinted moisturizer or a foundation. Now I know a lot of people like to put their concealer on and then their foundation. I like to do corrector, foundation, and then concealer. And like I said earlier, you might find that the corrector in the foundation provides enough coverage without a concealer. Anyway, today I am using my IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better Plus Skincare. This is a medium weight natural radiant finish. I have it in the shade 22N Light Neutral. This is just a little bit too light for me, so I'm adding just a touch of 32N Medium Neutral. And I am going to apply it with my BK Beauty 106 foundation brush. And I am just applying this lightly. And I am going a little bit on the eye area. Some people don't like to put foundation on the eye area, but I do find that some days foundation corrector might be enough coverage. This foundation is so nice and lightweight and easy to blend. Foundation, no foundation. Let's get some on this side. Foundation is done. As you could see, I did apply a very light layer of foundation to my under eyes, to my eyelids, and that foundation over the corrector gave me a nice level of coverage. This might be enough coverage for certain days. It might be enough coverage for you without a concealer. By using my corrector and then a foundation, I can assess exactly how much extra coverage I want to achieve with my concealer. I'm going to demonstrate two of my favorite concealers. The first one is Lancome Tint Adult Longwear Concealer. It is a medium to full coverage very lightweight concealer. And even though I usually don't like full coverage concealers, this one, if I apply just a small amount, gives me nice medium coverage. It's a very natural skin-like finish, comes with a doe foot. I do have it in 2 shades. I have it in, I'll put the shades below. I am using the shade Something Ivory on this side of my face. The thing with concealer, again, like I said earlier, less is more. So I am very strategically placing just a couple of dots there on the outer corner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that set down for 10 or 20 seconds. When you let your concealer set, you can get a little bit more coverage out of it. On this side, I am going to demonstrate my Kosas Revealer Concealer. Now the Kosas is medium coverage, and I have it in the shade 2.5. And again, it's that inner corner where I want some brightness. A little bit there and a little bit there. All right, so that has set down for about 20 seconds. I usually do put a little concealer on my eyelid as well. Although lately I am using eyeshadow primers, but for today I'm going to use the Lancome. It provides a nice, evening out of my eyelids. For blending my concealer, I do like to use my Angie Hot and Flashy concealer brush. This is a lovely concealer brush, and again, I am patting that. I am not swiping. I am patting it in place. If I swipe, I will take away some of the coverage. And then I like to just make sure it is blended down like that. And then I'm going to use the warmth of my finger to press it in. Now I only have one Angie Hot and Flashy concealer brush, so I'm going to use my Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush to pat this side in. Again, I'm patting. I'm not swiping. I don't want to remove coverage. I want to stipple or pat it in and on the eyelid. And again, with the warmth of my finger. Corrector concealer done. Pixie and Lancome on this side. Kosas and Sephora on this side. To set or not to set. Powders can be tricky, especially as we're growing older, especially under the eyes. I have tried some very expensive high-end powders that made my under eyes look about 100 years old. So in the winter, when my skin is super, super dry, very often I will not set my concealer at all. Yes, it might crease a little bit, but I can pat the creases out or touch my concealer up throughout the day. But since last summer, I have been enjoying setting my under eyes with a very, very light layer of setting powder. And I am going to show you two. One of my all-time favorite finishing powders is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Finishing Powder. I have it in the shade Diffused Light. Oh my gosh, this formula is so silky and feather light. It is translucent, but it does give a little bit of brightness, and it does have a slightly radiant finish. There's no glitter, there's no shimmer, but it will set without overly mattifying. And I'm going to use my e.l.f. blush brush, and I'm just going to touch that brush into this powder and make sure that I have all the creases patted out, because if you powder over creases, it will powder the creases to stay. And then I just touch it. I'm not swiping, I'm not sweeping, I'm just touching my under eye and inner corner area. On this side, I'm going to use a powder that's a little bit more mattifying and a little bit more affordable, and it's the Physician Formula Butter Believe It Setting Powder. Again, very silky, very lightweight. Pick up a little bit of powder, tap it off, and again, I'm just touching that under eye area. Very, very, very lightly. I enjoy both of them very much. I like the fact that the Hourglass is slightly radiant, which will help bring my hollows forward. And this one, it's not overly mattifying, but it's not quite as radiant as the Hourglass. You probably aren't going to be able to pick up a huge difference on camera, but I enjoy both of those powders very much. I'm going to go off camera, finish up my makeup, and then I will come back with some final thoughts. Makeup is done. I went with some warm Rosewood shades for fall. On the eyes, I have this cute little Color Pop quad. This is in the Color Story Sorbet. I used all 4 colors. I absolutely love that little quad. It is only $10. And on the cheeks, I used the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Satin Blush in the shade Rosewood. Absolutely beautiful blush, very soft radiance, and you can see how nicely it goes with the eyeshadow. And for the lips, I went a little bit more luxury with my Lisa Eldridge in the shade Painterly. That is her Luxuriously Lucent formula, which is a satin, slightly sheer. Absolutely love it. As far as the under eyes, I think both sides worked out fine. I do think I got just slightly better correction with my Pixie Peach corrector, so it is still a favorite. And if I didn't say this earlier, I do try to go a shade lighter with my concealer, a half a shade or a shade lighter, and add a little bit of radiance, because lightness and radiance on hollow areas can help bring it forward. So I wanted to make note of that. Now, I showed you how I did lightly set it with powder, but you can also use a setting spray, either instead of a setting powder or in addition to a setting powder. One of my favorite setting sprays is the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. And the reason I love this is it has no alcohol and it has no fragrance, and it has a really, really lovely mist. So I am going to set my face. And you can even take a little setting spray on a brush or a sponge or a puff and just barely touch your under eye area to add a little extra setting power to the powder. Like I said, you can use the setting spray instead of the setting powder or in addition to the setting powder. But if you do use a setting spray under your eyes, try to find one without alcohol. We're dry enough there as it is. Anyway, I really hope you found a tip or two that you might find helpful. Please make sure to check out Kiki's video. I can't wait to see what she comes up with. And please, please, please share your tips, techniques, and favorite products in the comment box so we can all learn from each other. And with all that being said, I hope you have a beautiful day and a wonderful week. I really look forward to visiting with you in the comment section, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.